name's Travis Bull Johnson. I'm running for Congress against Michelle Fischbach.
There's no money in ending war. There's no money in limiting government.
No more.
To me, part of what makes America great are our small businesses, our small farms, and that's what's getting squeezed out by the establishment politicians.
That's why I say, raise cattle and not taxes. And my name's Travis Bull Johnson.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thanks for everybody who's joining us live, and thanks also for everybody who are going to join us a little bit later on the recording. Great to have y'all all here with me this morning, and it's been a busy week. I mean, we this past week we had our organizing meeting for the Constitutional Republic Party. Got bylaws passed, so that party is officially moving forward. That's going to take a little bit of a chunk out of my time because I was elected chair to help set that up. So it's something I'm very much looking forward to. We had a baby goat go on us this week, which is always hard, especially in this case. This baby goat has had issues pretty much since it was born. She basically turned into a house goat, pretty much ended up being a pet for the most part for the last 4 months. So when you lose a pet like that you spend so much time on, man, it's heartbreaking. And I made a post that has basically said, you know what, if losing one of my animals ever gets easy, then I hope I'm next, okay? Because there goes most of my humanity. So that's kind of what's been going on this week. Before we get into our talk on ranked choice voting that I wanted to do this morning, I want to bring up another news story that came up this morning. 8 leading GOP senators slam FBI and Justice Department's reported investigation to the killing of Palestinian-American journalist Shireen Abu Akleh, calling for it to be closed immediately before causing harm to U.S.-Israeli bilateral relationship. For the FBI to investigate the death of any American journalist in a foreign country is not unusual. Okay, this is actually something they normally do. What I don't like about this is the fact they're saying, well, don't do it in this case because Israel's our friend. We don't want to interrupt that. We don't want to tarnish Israel's reputation if this comes out that they were guilty of an extrajudicial killing. My question to you, the American people, and to the people who are watching this, if 8 GOP senators would go that far to protect another country's government on how they appear, how far are they willing to go to protect our government to appear that way when they're being run by their party? If they're going to go that far to protect another country, I mean, is there any limit to what they will go to protect their own reputations if they happen to be the ones running this country? Hey, it's just something I want you to think about, okay? It's just, that's the kind of things that just kind of, there's no justice in that, okay? Saying, we can't look into this because somebody might look bad. That's not justice. That's not what this country is supposed to be built upon, okay? So, yeah, I've got some heartburn with that. And so I would like to see something like that not happen in the future. And I'm hoping we never would have that from our new party. All right, so let's get on to ranked choice voting. Many of you don't know about ranked choice voting, what it is, what it does, and a lot of you are against it simply because you've always been told to be against it, that it was bad. Why do people say it's bad? The prime people saying it's bad are those who have to stand to lose from it, i.e. your 2 major parties. What ranked choice voting does is it allows you to pick a candidate other than those top 2 parties without it being able to look like you are helping the other party to win, which is the main thing they do to scare people to keep them loyal to the party. Oh, you can't vote for this third party. You're going to help the evil Democrats win, or you're going to help the GOP win if you vote for this guy. Well, ranked choice voting, they can't do that. Why? Because you get to place your vote where you want. And if your candidate does not win and you do not go over 50%, or no candidate goes over 50%, your vote now goes to your second choice person. So if you're a conservative, but you say, you know what, I really want to give the Constitutional Republic Party a chance, I like them, I can go ahead and with a clear conscience say my vote is for the Constitutional Republic Party. My second choice is for the GOP candidate. And if my first choice doesn't win, then you know that your vote's going to be tallied for the GOP, and it's not going to help push the Democrats to win. And it works, of course, vice versa. So, I mean, it's something that the two parties don't want because it gives that option. What else it does is it pretty much guarantees on whoever wins actually has the support of a majority of the people in that district, because they're not going to make them their second option if they don't feel like they're going to be a good option, because you do not have to use all your choices. You can put none of the above. You can say, you know what, I'm going to vote Republican. I don't think these other two guys are worth a damn. I'm going to put Noda as my second choice. And if your candidate loses, then it just gets shoved off to the side. The other reason that the GOP and the Democrats really hate this is, as a third party, it means we've only got to beat one party to really be able to win the election outright. So take that same situation. Say, I used this on our online yesterday. Say there's 100 voters. Okay, 40% of those 40% vote for the Democrat, and 31% vote for the Constitutional Republican. 29% vote for the Republican. Okay, the Republican loses. They're going to take those 29 votes that went to them, and they're going to divide them between the Democrat and the Constitutional Republic candidate. Say the Constitutional Republic candidate gets 14 of those votes, and the Democrats get, say, 3. And say the other 4 votes, they say, you know what, I don't want either candidate to win. Well, when you add that up, that's going to bring the Constitutional Republic candidate over 50%. So they will win that election. But they will also say, you know what, this is where a majority of the people supported this candidate. Is it a perfect system? No, not at all. Is there things that still need to be done to fine tune that system? By all means. They did it in Minneapolis for this last election, and they royally jacked that up. The way they jacked that up is, okay, it was a ranked choice election, but they didn't restrict the number of candidates per party. So the Democrats ran 8 or 9 candidates. Well, if you're a Democratic voter, you voted those guys 1 through 9. You didn't really make another choice. The other thing that did is when they had debates, there was all these Democratic candidates. They only chose the Democratic candidates for the debate. So it left everybody else off stage. So what needs to happen for this to work is, again, each party gets their one candidate. And of course, any independents who get on, or any other minor candidates who get on through the petition process, are on there. Okay, but one party or the major party should not be able to flood it with your candidates. Here's the other way I would like to see our elections adjusted. I don't usually vote Republican or Democrat. So somebody explain to me why I should be paying for the primaries for those two parties. It's up to the parties to decide who their representative is going to be. If they want to get a vote of all of their members, they should be paying for it. I should not be paying for it. If you don't fall into one of those parties, you should not be paying for it. Okay? It should be up to those parties to decide who their representative is. Okay, there are so many ways that primary system can be abused. We'll see a lot of times where one party may not have, they may already have settled on their candidate. There is no primary. Well, under our current system, there is nothing to prevent all of the, say the Republicans don't have a primary and the Democrats do. There is nothing to prevent all the Republicans from voting in the Democratic primary to the weaker candidate. Okay, so there's ways for this to be abused, and I don't agree with that. I mean, a party should be able to say, you know what, this is our candidate. The party figures out how you want to do it. And if people don't like that, guess what? You can always get on the ballot as an independent outside the main parties. And if you have ranked choice voting, you've got as good a chance as anybody else. Okay. So these are some of the things I think we need to do to adjust our voting system right now. Question that keeps on coming up, since we are talking about voting, what is my option on voter IDs? I believe we need voter IDs. But I also believe we need to ensure everybody can get one. A lot of us here in rural Minnesota, we cannot imagine not having an ID. We need it for everything we do. In the inner city, that's not always the case. In the inner city, you don't necessarily drive, you take public transportation, so you don't need a driver's license. You grow up in the same area with a neighborhood store, everybody in that store knows you. Once you get old enough, you don't really need a driver's license to buy alcohol or tobacco. They know you. Okay. So they get by their lives without actually having an ID. A lot of these families who are in that situation, they may come from broken homes. They may have no clue on where their birth certificates or social security cards even are. And it's not always cheap to be able to figure out where that stuff is. If you had a child who's separated from their parents at a young age, thrown into the foster system or so forth, they may not even know what hospital they were born in. And you normally need to have that information. So we need to have a way to be able to get that information to allow everybody to have an ID. My whole thing is, if you're an American citizen, you have a right to vote. And we need to make sure you can exercise that right. You have a say. And to me, if any law we pass disenfranchises voters, that's the wrong answer. Okay. If anything we do encourages one group to be able to vote while discouraging another group from being able to vote, that's wrong. When we run for an election, when we run for Congress or governor or everything else, you need to be able to win a majority of the voters, not strategize on how to keep people or prevent people from voting. No, it's not voter suppression as long as we can make sure everybody can get an ID. You know what? I was just talking about the primaries. For all that money we save on not doing primaries, let's put that money into to make sure everybody gets a freaking ID and everybody gets the opportunity to vote. Okay. This is something that could have been solved a long time ago. But the truth is, neither party wants it to be solved. Why? Because the Democrats can run on, the Republicans are trying to prevent you from voting, and the Republicans can run on, the Democrats are trying to screw you over, trying to make people vote who aren't eligible. Okay. As long as they can keep doing that, their base shows up to vote. So there is no reason for them to try to solve this issue. And this is why most of the issues we have going on right now are going on, is because they don't really want to solve an issue. Okay. It keeps their vote, as long as those issues are up there, it keeps people from showing up. That's one of the reasons why marijuana has never gotten approved in Minnesota. Okay, because both sides didn't really want it solved. Okay, so these are some of these issues that, coming in as a third party, I mean, we need to come in here and come in here and say, how do we solve these problems? Okay, this is the Democrats' beef. This is the Republican beef. How do we find a solution that solves both of those issues? And it is very real, a very possible solution. Luke just says, what about third world immigration? There's a large portion of Minneapolis that does not speak English. You know, Luke, I mean, this is something that's another, it's, I'm glad you brought this up. It is another hot button issue. And I'm going to go into a little bit about my history to kind of tell you where I'm coming from on this. I grew up in Southeast Louisiana. Growing up when I was a young buck and the generations before that, a good portion of the population there spoke French or Cajun French, a bastardized version of French. And eventually policies that were put on through the government discouraged that. It was not allowed to be spoken in school. Of course, everything was written in English. And if you go down there now, very few people have any of that culture left. People like me who left there 50 years ago, I mean, I'm sad that culture no longer exists. I mean, although I've never spoke Cajun French, my mama did. I mean, it's part of the culture of Southeast Louisiana, and I'm very sad that's gone now. But at the same time, hold on one second, guys. I'm gonna get rid of a spam person on here. All right. So I'm sad we lost that history. But at the same time, I think if you're going to be American, you need to assimilate. You can bring your culture. We should not prevent you from using your culture. However, if you want to be an American, we need to assimilate you being into an American. I mean, and that's part of being a national in the country is a shared language. Okay. So I do think we do need to have some type of program that for citizenship requires somebody to have a passable, being able to passably speak and understand English. I'm not sure if that answers your question. As far as third world immigration, you know what? I mean, I am relatively loose on immigration. I do think we do need a controlled, sealed border. But I do think as long as somebody doesn't have negative things in their background that we're able to screen for terrorism and so forth, as long as this person is clean, they should be allowed to immigrate to the United States. Okay. For the longest time, we were the shining city on the hill. We were where everybody wanted to come here because being in America was so special. And I think we've kind of lost some of that. We were always the melting pot. And when we talk about languages and stuff like that, again, being part of that melting pot is melting and coming together. We've gotten so much into the identity politics. Okay, whether you're Italian American, African American, or what, there's so few people anymore who just says, I'm American. And that should be the first thing that we all are. Okay. I mean, and that's part of the reason why I guess I didn't fit in real well with the Libertarian Party is because I had that pride in being an American. Fair enough. We have the third largest population on Earth. How many should we take? We have the third largest population on Earth, but we're also one of the larger geographical countries. I mean, there is still a lot of land, especially in the West, that's not being utilized. So how many should we take? Luke, I don't know. I don't have that answer yet. I do think we can let in. I mean, our population right now is slowly growing. But I don't know. I don't know how do we decide how many to take? How do we decide which ones we do take? Right now, a lot of our immigration is towards the high tech, the high educated. Yet we have people here with college degrees who can't get jobs, and we have nobody willing to do manual labor. Should we incentivize Americans to birth more or import? We shouldn't incentivize Americans to do anything. It is what it is. Okay, for us to incentivize Americans to birth more, somebody's paying for that. Somebody's having to come up with that money to provide that incentive, and that's not something that's fair for everybody else. I mean, we so yeah, I don't think we should be incentivizing Americans to birth more or import. I think we should just provide the best country that we can. And tax breaks, John, I don't think we should be paying any income tax at all. So where exactly do we give those tax breaks? If we repeal the 16th Amendment, which is what I would prefer to do, which would prevent the government from taxing your income, how do we give tax breaks? Part of what I'm hoping to develop for our platform with the Constitutional Republic is a sales tax rather than income tax. And even the sales tax, you wouldn't have that on your necessary items like your utilities, food, and so forth. Okay, so again, how do you, if you want people to have more babies, how do we incentivize it? And you know what I mean, guys, I'm always going to be open. I'm not going to be tiptoeing around law subjects. So let me go ahead and bring this point up. In the United States right now, we have more and more gay couples. And truth of the matter is, gay couples don't have their own babies. It is what it is. So, I mean, I do expect later on and you have more and more kids who are not having babies now. I mean, more and more people are of the younger generations like, I don't know if I want to bring a child into this world. So if we do not loosen our immigration up a little bit, we may very well find ourselves in a population decline issue. If your population is declining, generally so is your economy. So these are things we need to take into consideration. I mean, because I'm not going to be willing to limit people to, you have to marry this way because we need you to have kids. No, people are going to do it. People need to be allowed to live their own lives. And if they're not going to produce the future generations, the people we need to grow our country, then we're going to have to loosen immigration to continue our population growth. Japan's 50% or over 45. And that's an ideal thing to segue into a new topic with, like Social Security. We have an older population in the United States. We need more young people who are contributing to the economy, but who is also providing, who's also contributing. And like, if you want to keep Social Security alive or a similar plan, you need to ensure those funds keep coming in. So you need youngsters. Okay. And right now, I mean, we're limiting the people who come in. And here's where I think it's kind of ironic. We're limiting the people who can come in to only the people who will compete with the majority of our young people who are graduating college. So we're graduating all these kids from college, and then we're importing their competition for jobs, while we are not importing or allowing people into the country who will do the jobs that most Americans don't want to do, who will come in here and say, you know what, I will take that manual labor, ditch digging job because it's going to allow me to build a base to go on to that next step where I want to become an American. Because the reason I'm here is I want to be an American. And I think that also has a lot to do with our import strategy, if you want to term it that, Luke, is people who we are importing in, who are allowing to immigrate. We need to say, okay, if you're coming here to live, you need to want to become an American. If you don't, we don't really need you. Okay, we want people here who want to be here because of what we offer and because of what it means to be an American. And again, right now we don't necessarily do that. So, all right, meanwhile, do we have any other? So we talked a little bit about ranked choice voting. One thing I want to point out on that is that when we did our bylaws for the new party, we implemented ranked choice voting for our board members for the upcoming convention. One of the things we did for this convention is we decided that we were going to have our voting for our officers first in the convention. And then we were going to go on to the bylaw and the platform changes. The reason we're doing that is because we want people to try out ranked choice voting, see if they like it, and then they will determine in the future how we're going to run our elections through the party. I will bring out that ranked choice voting really is not very different than the other parties are doing their elections now. The difference is you make all your choices in the beginning instead of throughout the day. Because, of course, the way these parties work now is you have your vote, bottom man falls off, they get up there and say a few words to try to send people what kind of drug deal they can make for their supporters, and you vote again. Okay, that person is eliminated. They get up there, figure out what kind of drug deal they can make, go out there, throw their support against some other candidate, whatever benefits them, and you continue going until somebody wins. Ranked choice voting limits all those backroom deals. You make all your choices from the beginning. This is who I want. If this guy can't win, that's who I want. If this guy can't win, that's who I want. Okay, that's what ranked choice voting is. So you're making your choices at the beginning instead of being inefficient and spreading it out through the day, letting all these backroom deals get made. And if that's not a argument for ranked choice voting to eliminate that corruption that goes on that way, I mean, to me, that's ideal. And majority rule is horrible for the other 49%. So, yeah, I mean, look, I think by ranked choice voting, it allows a consensus. It allows for more people to say, you know what, I can live with this guy. He's not my favorite, but. And that's some things that the two parties want to avoid. I mean, it's either us or them. As long as it's a two-choice option, all they have to do is scare you into not voting for the other side. So that kind of is most of what I was hoping to cover today. Are there any other questions out there? And you can ask about, for me, you can ask about the new party. Sky's the limit. Less government intervention is always ideal. But unfortunately, neither party in control right now wants to do that. The bigger the government, the more power they have when they're in control. And to them, it's all about power. It's not about giving power back to the people. It's about building up the power in government so that when they are in control, they have more power to exert over the American people. And right now, nobody's been able to or willing to stand up to that. And that's part of the reason we said, you know what, we need to go forward with this Constitutional Republic Party. I've actually got a call a little bit later for somebody in Michigan who's looking at doing a very similar thing. I've already talked to people in Pennsylvania who are doing a similar thing. I mean, if we get enough states on board who are tired of this as well, I mean, we can really make a difference. Some of these people we're talking to are already in state governments. Okay. So, I mean, we can literally enter the show and already have that seat at the table. So that's what's going on, folks. I don't see any other questions coming in. So we'll go ahead and sign out. I do want to thank everybody for tuning in. I do want to thank everybody who's going to tune in a little bit later. I know Saturday morning is time where a lot of people are just enjoying family and can't really tune in. But it's one of the few times I actually worked into my schedule for the most part. So, hey guys, thanks. I appreciate y'all coming in. Remember, independent is power. This is Bull signing off. Everybody have a great day and Merry Christmas. We'll be on next Tuesday again for our update for the Constitutional Republic Party update. So that's going to be Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Central. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.